Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Fairy Tail Arc Rankings, where today we're covering number 15 out of 18. Sadly, even though we've gone through 3 arcs already, the quality isn't exactly improving fast. Even worse, this is an arc that's longer than 7 episodes. Oh boy, long reviews incoming, more episode downloading. Let's do this one as quick as we can. Number 15 is the Eclipse Spirit arc. Lo and behold, it's a filler arc! Yeah, sadly, this filler arc isn't exactly that great, especially as it comes right after the Grand Magic Games arc, and it wastes valuable time before we can get to the Tartaros arc, both of which are way better than this relative waste of time. See, the basic plot is, because of the Eclipse Gate that was opened back in the Grand Magic Games, the Celestial Spirits all turn evil, for some reason, and it's up for the Wizards of Fairy Tail, plus a couple of tag-alongs, to fix it. It's a fairly simple plot with a handful of okay plot twists and turns, but it's really nothing special, hence why it's ranked so low. It also feels like it drags a bit, which isn't really something I appreciate in my arcs, especially when I know there's something good on the other side of it. So, the arc starts with an episode with Lucy and Yukino doing a day to hang out with all their celestial spirits and help them with whatever they want. Now, this episode directly contributes literally nothing to the plot. You could skip it and miss nothing. But it's blatantly obvious why they did this. Oh my god, look how good friends they are. See how they're all really friendly with the celestial spirits and each other and they get along? Oh wow, they have such a bond together. It would really suck if something were to happen to it. Like, for example, if they were to become enemies, that would be so sad because they're all such good friends. Oh my god. I picked up on this when I first watched it, and it's even more obvious now. Admittedly, the focus with Lucy and Aquarius at the end serves another purpose, but we'll get to that later in this series. So, the gimmick in this arc is that all 13. Oh, no, sorry, 14 major celestial spirits are now evil, have ditched their owners, and have transformed into new Eclipse forms with new powers and personalities, as I said in the introduction. This by itself is a very interesting idea. It's just a shame that it's executed pretty poorly. Eclipse Leo is just Leo, but he's stronger, he has more wild hair, and now he's a bit of a douche that doesn't like women. He's one of the best Eclipse celestial spirits just because he doesn't have any stupid gimmick. He's just evil and powerful, but it does make him kind of boring. Aquarius is now a child that can't distinguish the difference between playing a game and killing somebody. I don't like kids and I don't like her. Eclipse Pisces went from a pair of genuinely intimidating fish monsters or capable warriors to a giant shark and a moody teen fish boy with an unfunny, overbearing mother rebellious son dynamic. They suck. They're one of my least favorite of the entire lineup. Scorpio is now a weeb child obsessed over a card game. I find him strangely relatable. We'll get to talking about him later, but just know that this guy is easily one of my favorite spirits. Cancer went from being a smooth as hell crabman to basically Mirror B fused with Krabby. It's fucking great. Eclipse Sagittarius is kind of boring, mainly because he doesn't have any gimmick. He's just an honorable warrior. It's fine, I don't hate him, he just doesn't stand out from the others. Eclipse Capricorn is adorable for a midget goat man, especially with his dub voice, and I like his personality.
Yes, Mr. Capricorn!
Nab Lasaro.
So he's good in my book, especially compared to what we have already. Eclipse Taurus is weird. He's wearing a suit, he's afraid of sweat, and now he's stronger than Elfman. Okay.
I'm completely disgusting. Someone clean.
That's pretty dumb. Eclipse Gemini is dumb. Their animal transformation powers are silly, and I disapprove greatly, and their personalities suck. As I said before, I don't like kids, and I don't like them. Even worse than Aquarius. Eclipse Aries is basically Aries inverted, confident, brash, and rude. See, this is what I expected from the Eclipse Spirits. That being said, she isn't that cool either. She also has a car for no apparent reason. Below average for a spirit, and I suppose compared to something like Gemini, she's right up there with the best of them. Eclipse Virgo is one of the spirits that gets the most screen time, and it's definitely just for the fan service. In an inversion of her current personality in the canon, she's now a dominatrix who likes punishing people. So that's what she does, mainly for humor and sex appeal. Not my style, personally, but she is one of the better spirits, mainly because there's so much focus put on her. Eclipse Libra is just weird. She keeps going on about balance for no real reason. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, we get it, gravity's your gimmick, but no need to preach about it. Eclipse Ophiuchus is not at all what I expected. She turned into a sexy, note the air quotes, nurse that uses nurse equipment to torture people? I thought that was Virgo's thing. And she's also a giant snake monster? Just why? Why was this choice made? She's also serving the final boss of the arc, instead of Loki, so she's technically betraying her brethren. Not sure why she's such a giant douche, but hey, ha ha ha, 13th spirit bad, number 13 bad, ha ha, bad luck charm, triskaidekaphobia, or whatever the hell it is. The final spirit is the endgame boss, that is hidden until the end, the Celestial Spirit Beast. This thing is pretty freaky looking, and is honestly a pretty cool end boss. It's got no personality, no explained powers, it's pathetic in comparison to 99% of the final bosses in Fairy Tail arcs, but it is very powerful and results in a decent fight. Better than half the spirits that do have actual characters. Right, now that we've cleared up the major players and what the arc is about, let's just go over a few things to add some context to my later points. First up, and I have a feeling this will be controversial, even more than me preferring dub to sub. I don't like Lucy in this arc. Is it because she's useless? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's because she's useless. Now, I know what everyone's gonna say. No, Lucy isn't useless, she's super smart and powerful and best girl in Fairy Tail, no man. First of all, no she isn't. That's Urza. Second of all, in this arc, her keys get taken away. Makes sense, seeing as that's the entire plot of the arc. As we've long since proven, until the 1 year time skip after Tartaros, without her spirits, she kinda sucks. I mean, there was this one time she summoned the power of the planets to one-shot a member of the Arashio Seis, but she can't do that on her own at this point, so she's largely left to just running away or using her whip while actually useful fighters beat the people up. Her fight with Virgo was boring as it's just unfunny and unappealing fan service while Lucy tries to convince her to turn good and fails, spending most of the fight just running away and hiding in a bikini for no reason other than, oh my god, we need more Lucy fan service. So many shots in that fight are just to show off her body. What a riveting battle. I also don't like her constant complaining. No, Natsu, don't hurt the evil spirits that are trying to kill me, they're our friends!
Okay, I'm fired up now!
Wait, Natsu! I know they're acting like jerks, but it isn't their fault, they're just not themselves! Let's go! Natsu! Don't hurt them! They're still our friends, okay?
Jesus, I don't know what it is, but that just annoys me to no end. Like, they're evil. They are blatantly evil at this point. Beat them up and they'll be your friends again. That's just how Fairy Tail works. Laxus, Jalal, Leone, Gargiel. But nope, Lucy's like, no, we can just talk it out, even though that literally never works in the show.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna pound on them till they remember who I am.
That just rubbed me the wrong way. I like Lucy in other arcs, but this arc is just not one of them. Also, I just want to point out that Princess Hisui is one of the most useless characters ever made in Fairy Tail, and in this arc, her uselessness is even worse than Lucy's. She does nothing except provide them with the MacGuffins and slow them down. Okay, now that my complaining is done, let's move on. Right, so this review is going to be a little different to the previous ones. We're going to review the main fights of the arc, going from fight to fight, because that's basically what the plot is. They go around, fight a Celestial Spirit, move on to the next one. We're also going to be sticking with the main fights, because the earlier fights kinda suck, like when they fight Pisces for the magic keys, or when they first meet the Eclipse Celestial Spirits on the beach. Obviously, each member of Fairy Tail, plus Yukino, has to fight against at least one Celestial Spirit in order to seal them away, or something. Not exactly sure what happens to them once they get keyed, but we'll just assume it's magic. Sadly, even though the fights are the main draw of the arc, they mostly suck. Lucy vs Virgo was just an excuse for bad, unfunny fan service, and Virgo really could have won the fight at any time, but she just made it drag on for far too long. Worst fight in the arc in my opinion. Now I get it, Virgo's a dominatrix, but Jesus Christ, like she's dragging this out way too much. It's not even painful, she's just like covering Lucy with mayonnaise, with watermelon, she's tickling her, come on now. Now here's another problem. Why isn't Lucy fighting Aquarius? We had that friendship montage between them at the start of the arc, and she's her longest contracted spirit, and they're meant to be great friends even though Aquarius is a bitch. Lucy got Virgo about 2 years ago from her perspective, from one of her enemies, no less, yet she's the main spirit she focuses on in this arc. I don't know, that's just something that irked me. I feel like they missed a bit of potential for character development, even though this is a filler arc. Gargiel and Panther Lily vs Gemini was a weird fight. Like, these little freaks can transform powerful wizards into animals now, and the wizards can still use their magic like that? I don't get it. Unless it didn't take too long, and there was a couple of funny moments in there, below average. Mirajane vs Pisces was just boring. I didn't like Eclipse Pisces as it was, but this fight was just nothing. There's no gimmick here, no jokes, not even any bad fan service. Considering Mirajane's character, that honestly wouldn't have been too out of place, especially considering the Grand Magic Games arc, except her fan service is pulled off a lot more tastefully than Lucy's is most times. This is just a very boring fight that we barely see anyway. Terrible. Wendy and Carla vs Aquarius. Aquarius was kinda weird here. I wasn't a big fan of her Eclipse form and how childish she was, as I said earlier, and this fight was not great either. It went on for far too long, and it really seemed like Wendy should have won the fight far earlier. Even when Natsu shows up, it's still freaking going over the course of several episodes. How hard is it to beat up a kid, even if you want to be nice to them? At least the little friendship montage they had in the middle was cute, even if it didn't serve any purpose, but the fight is still below average. Levy versus Capricorn. I actually liked this one. I mean, it was pretty weird because of the setting and scenario, but it was far more amusing than the other fights I've talked about so far. I will admit, I tried playing along with the trivia questions, and I actually slipped up on a couple of them, like the one about Michelle's real name.
This doll was a gift to Lucy Hartfilia from her mother. What did she name it?
That doll's name was Michelle!
Mr. Capricorn!
Lucy named her doll Gonzalez.
That is correct!
We also got some ship teas in there with the final question.
Oh, fine, I'll say it!
And I personally find Eclipse Capricorn to be one of the best Eclipse forms, mainly because he's cute and he's funny.
Oh, please don't drop me in the fun zone!
Good fight, even though a game of trivia isn't exactly much of a fight, but hey, better than everything else that happened so far. Yukino versus Libra. Boring, barely anything happened, below average. Elfman versus Taurus. Power scaling is out of whack and Taurus loses in a dumb way. Below average. Huh, this ain't the first time a Taurus lost in a disappointing way. Wendy, Natsu, Happy, and Carla versus Ophiuchus. This was just uncomfortable to watch. She telekinetically uses a bunch of medical equipment to use some sort of weird nurse fan service, except it's really unpleasant and uncomfortable to watch. I don't really know how to sum it up, but it's not funny, it's not cool, I don't like it, it's bad, please get it away from me. Ares versus Juvia. Pretty lame, not much to discuss here. Juvia walks around in the desert for a bit, finds Ares, gets some water, and defeats her. Below average. Everyone else versus Ophiuchus at the end, or however the fuck you say her name. At least she's not a nurse anymore, but this is a very boring fight. It consists of the good guys just throwing themselves at some very durable obstacles over and over for an entire episode. There's barely anything else to it besides that. I can barely remember the fight, even with the Triple Celestial Girl fan service blast. Below average. Urza versus Sagittarius. This one is just kinda weird. And I mean it's weird because of how not weird it is. I mean, it's a competent fight, it's not bad or anything, but it's so weirdly low-key compared to the other Eclipse Celestial Spirit fights. Nothing wacky, bad, or overly awesome happens here. It's just two warriors fighting. It's dead on average, pretty forgettable, and not really worth the watch. But it's not offensively bad in any way, and at least Urza wasn't nerfed in a filler arc for once. Average. The literal definition of an average fight. Natsu vs Eclipse Leo. It's the best traditional fight in the arc, but it's not that great. Natsu getting his Black Fire Dragon mode is pretty cool, especially with the secret arts, and you can actually take Eclipse Leo somewhat seriously as a villain. So it's still a decent battle, though nowhere near as good as many of the other fights in the show, especially from the canon arcs. Overall, a decently good fight. Kana vs Scorpio. Hell yeah, this is what I come to Fairy Tail filler arcs for. This fight contains the same feeling as many of the individual filler episodes the show has. Random as hell, makes nearly no sense, and is hilarious the whole way through. This card game is a fun reference to games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And the whole I am the rules thing makes for endless possibilities for humour, and is more than likely a jab at Season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Back when there literally were almost no rules. Also, we got to see guild arts again, hell yeah, it's been a while. Second best fight in the arc. Fucking fantastic time. Now, you may be wondering, what could possibly top the epic card game between Kana and Scorpio? The fucking dance battle between Grey and Eclipse Cancer. Once Cancer somehow awakens Grey's inner Michael Jackson, or Dante from the Devil May Cry series, he busts out his smoking sexy style and does some amazing dance moves.
I've looked at this for 5 hours now.
It's hilarious, entertaining as hell, and even a decent fight when they get to the battle part of the dance battle. Admittedly, Cancer is no slouch in his own right. He at least gets an A rank in style, but he's nothing next to Grey. Also, this fight carries on the filler arc tradition of Grey's enemies going gay for him, and even further carrying the tradition of Grey's enemies falling for him regardless of their gender.
You know, Grey, I actually let myself fall a teensy little bit in love with you.
Say what?
I knew I sensed the familiar threat of another woman trying to steal my man.
Best fight in the arc, bar none. 10 out of 10, would watch again. Final battle against the Celestial Spirit Beast. Pretty cool fight. Natsu's final attack was flashy.
Dragon Slayer! Secret Art Celestial Fire! Exploding flame!
And even though I didn't really feel any tension in the battle, considering it's a filler arc, it was still a decent watch. Decent ending battle to a not so decent arc. Overall, the fights are largely disappointing. They've got all this potential for creative fights using the twisted versions of Celestial Spirits and the various powers of the Fairy Tail members, all of which have so much variety, but not much comes out of it at all. It's disappointing, as I said, and ironically the best fights in the arc came out of battles that weren't actually fights. So I think we covered this poor excuse for an arc pretty well, considering this is easily the longest review I've done by far. In conclusion, this arc has plenty of enjoyable moments, but it's honestly kind of a slog to sit through. It's got more entertainment than the Daphne, Avatar and Lullaby, possibly all of them put together, but it also has more flaws because it's a full-blown arc, not just 4 to 7 episodes. If you're watching Fairy Tail, you could almost definitely afford to skip this one. The biggest flaw of this arc is probably the timing. I mean, Sun Village and Tartaros were right around the corner, and no one wanted to see this over them. Admittedly, there's nowhere else it really could go in the show, but you could have just not made it at all and gotten right to the good stuff. However, I'd personally recommend sitting through this arc at least once, just to see Gray busting out some slick moves and Kana playing Yu-Gi-Oh! From Season 1. And that concludes the review. Finally! I want to thank you guys for sitting through the video to this point, and I hope you've enjoyed. This one was really hard to make, seeing as it's super long and not really an arc I enjoy anyway, but hopefully this is the video that pushes me into PewDiePie territory. I'm sorry it took so long to make, but I have had the busiest month since the last one. But hopefully, because I'm on holiday now, we can get these out lickety-split. If you guys did enjoy, leave feedback down in the comment section, and also leave your predictions for what you think is the next arc I will roast in the series, because we ain't quite in the good category yet. With all that said, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Until we meet again.